Hello FlossTube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today is Sunday, May 21st, 2022, and this is my 31st FlossTube. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, welcome. This is my channel where I talk about cross stitch, and if you've been here before, welcome back and thank you for coming back. It's been 2 weeks since my last video. And I have just been working on the same old plans that I had for my hashtag marvelous mirabilia May. So I've been hard at work at mostly 4 projects that I talked about in my last video. And I'll go over them again to show you where I've been at. Where I've been at. That's not good English. I will go over them to show you what I've been doing. That sounds better. Anyway, let's just get straight to the stitching, okay? The first project I have to show you is my Temperatures Butterflies, and this is by Stitchin' Mommy. And this is the first project that I've been pulling out every day. My goal was to get caught up through the end of April with my butterflies. And then what I discovered through doing this was that I really enjoyed doing 1 month at a time, because I had to finish February, and then I did March, and then I did April. And I really liked doing it that way. I liked being able to pull all the temperatures for the whole month and then work 1 color at a time for each temperature range. So let me show you where I'm at. It's really wrinkly because I just pulled it off the Q-snap. So there it is. I finished the April butterfly, and so now I'm just waiting for May. So what I did was, when I finish this April butterfly, I pulled out another project, and I'll talk about that when I show it to you. So there you go. And let me do a little bit closer up, because those are some wild temperature swings that we had in March. It was hot, it was cold, it was in between, it was back hot again. So it was pretty cool. And then as you can see in April, as it gets more orange, we have definitely been heating up. We even had a few days in the 90s, and especially this month, we've had a few days in the 90s. And then all of a sudden today, it's like 63 degrees and raining. So May's butterfly should be pretty fun to put together too. So I'm excited to see how that works. So when I finished my April butterfly, if you watched my last video, I think I explained this. I have 3 projects that I had intended to work monthly throughout 2022. My Temperature Butterflies, my Vintage Black Sampler by Owl Forest Embroidery, and a yearly Sal. I honestly don't know what it's called. It was by Victoria Sampler, and it was in their Facebook group last year, and I downloaded it all from the group before they moved it onto their website for sale. And I had planned to do each monthly this year, and work just got busy in February because I was getting ready to go to Nashville. And I fell behind on all of it. So I decided to take May to catch up. I started with Temperature Butterflies, and then after that, I moved on to Vintage Black Sampler by I always want to say it's by Modern Folk Embroidery, but it's not. It's by Owl Forest Embroidery. And I am stitching this with Sammy Liz, with Sam from Sammy Liz. This is going to be a really hard video to get through if I can't get my words together. Anyway, we decided that we are not stitching in black. We are going to make it extremely colorful using leftovers from other projects, and mostly fancy floss for me. So yeah, I'll just show you what I've been doing. So here's where I'm at. And what I did was I finished the clock tower, I did the owl, I did the hot air balloon, and I started the airship. So if you haven't seen this before, I haven't showed it since February. The house is blue with a black roof, modeled after a house that I used to pass when we lived in New Jersey, that I just loved. It was this beautiful blue old Victorian house. It had a turret, and I was just completely in love with it. So that's why I stitched that blue. This is Mary Poppins. This is Willy Wonka. I stitched the clock tower as if it were Big Ben or the Parliament houses. I mean, it's not exact because obviously the Big Ben clock tower is shaped very differently, but that's why it's gold. I made this owl after Owl from not Peter Rabbit, Winnie the Pooh. So that's why I colored him the way I did. This hot air balloon, I completely changed. I filled it in completely. For one, if you look at the picture, that's what it looks like, and it has all those designs. And I struggled with what to make this hot air balloon. I thought I might make it like the Wizard of Oz air balloon, and I thought a lot of different things. And what I ended up doing was an Around the World in 80 Days balloon. And I'll put up the inspiration picture that I used. But so how I did it was I used the same brown here as I used for Wonka's hair. And then this checkerboard, I didn't fussy cut it. And fussy cut is when you take a variegated floss and you kind of cut it in different lengths so you can use the color out of the variegated floss that you want. I kept the strand whole, but I did kind of fussy stitch it. So I stitched every other block of 4, whether I had blue or gold on the needle, or I was at the section of blue or gold. And then I switched to gold. This is Midas Touch from Forbidden Fiber Co. It's the same as I used for the clock tower. And then the 80 I did in chestnut, which I think is the same as his hat. Not chestnut. I can't remember the name of the color, but it's essentially the same color as I did his hat in. Maybe it's Viscount. Anyway, and then this airship, again, I went back and forth. I kind of thought I wanted to do it modeled after the Hindenburg, but then I thought that was a little bit morose. So I ended up going with the Goodyear blimp, and that's why it's gray all around. And then this middle section is blue, and it's not supposed to be filled in. It just is supposed to have another line going through there. But my thought is I might fill it in blue and then do the yellow Goodyear in back stitching, because there's only 8 stitches from top to bottom, and I can't find an alphabet that I can fit 8 letters on the one blimp. And I tried back stitching it just in yellow on the gray fabric, and it didn't show up. So I'm still playing with that. I've kind of put it down until I can figure that out. But I think I'm not scheduled to work on it again until tomorrow. So I'm either going to figure it out by tomorrow or move on to something else until I figure it out. So yeah, I'm having so much fun with this. It has really brought out my creativity. I was scared to death to do this balloon. I honestly just considered scrapping it and just picking a color and doing the balloon as charted. And I was so glad that I didn't, that I pushed on and made it, because I'm thrilled with it. I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. So yeah, there's that one. And then, okay, so I pulled out the temperature butterflies or the vintage black sampler. And then after that, okay, well, this is not, my pile's not necessarily in order. So that was the first piece that I worked on for the day. I had a second piece that I worked on for the day. And then if it was Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I worked on a mirabilia. And so it's been 2 weeks since my video. So I have worked on 2 mirabilias. So I'm going to show those to you next. The first one that I worked on is Miss Christmas Eve, and I am stitching on this with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E. We started it on Christmas Eve last year, and here is where I'm at. So previously, I had done her entire top, and there was a little bit of her green, because the center of her is in the green somewhere, so I kind of stitched up and I did the whole top half of her. I still have to do the back stitching on the top half and the beading, but so this time I worked entirely on her dress. And I really thought I'd get a lot more done. That is an incredible amount of stitching in there, considering I worked usually at least 2 hours a night on her for 3 nights. I'm just surprised I didn't get more done, but I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. And there's a lot of intricate beading in all of these white spaces that you see. And some of it is just floss that I have to fill in because I was working mainly in this green color. But yeah, she was a lot of fun. I didn't want to put her down. I'm stitching this on 28 count custom dyed fabric that I did. I made the color specifically for Miss Christmas Eve for Sarah and I to stitch on. And I haven't put it in the shop yet. It's all the extras from this dye lot are sitting in a bucket in the studio, honestly, just waiting for me to put them up for sale. And since I'm using it for a Christmas pattern, I'm thinking I'm going to try to get them up when we do our Christmas in July spectacular. But I honestly don't know. Things have just been crazy. Okay, the second mirabilia that I worked on was the Trick or Treat Fairy. She is called the Halloween Fairy on Hirschners.com, which is where you can get this download. I call her the Trick or Treat Fairy because it says Trick or Treat, and because there is another Halloween Fairy that's one of those mini kits that you can buy. And I am also stitching this with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E. We started it on Halloween last year. Here's where I'm at. And I did not want to put this down. I had so much fun stitching it. My goal was to stitch the pumpkins and the top half of her. And I did not finish the top half of her. As you can see, I got all of the light skin color done, and I started with the very darkest color on her gloves and the owl and her hair. But these pumpkins and all those vines there and all the Krynic, all that green, all those darker vines are green Krynic. And then those spider webs are blue meringue, I think it is. And this blue meringue is like my new favorite mirabilia. I don't know if it'll focus, but it's awesome. But yeah, so those spider webs took me forever. All that green vine took me forever. And like I said, I worked 2, sometimes 3 hours a night. There was one night where I didn't work on anything else because I wanted to get to that skin so badly that I didn't work on anything else that night. It was my last night working on the project. And I had that goal and I wanted to at least get part of it done. So all I have left is, you know, the rest of her face and hair and her arms. And then I have all of the, like there's a big moon and a bunch of stars and stuff, and then the beading. And so, I mean, I probably have a good week's worth of work left on this based on how last week went. But I'm pretty determined to finish her at least over the summer. I have some thoughts on June stitching that I'll try to remember to talk about later, but I definitely want to have her finished for Halloween. Okay, so the second piece that I worked on every night, it's next in my pile. I did the Temperature Butterflies or the Vintage Black Sampler, and then I worked on Beezy Spring by Cottage Garden Samplings. It's from their Time for All Seasons series. And I don't remember which year this was. I think this might have been last year's series, but I am working on this with Zan from Crazy Band Lady Stitches. And the hashtag is Zan's B-E-E Day Sal. And she just challenged us to work on something with bees for the month of May. So I started this on May 1st, and I have been working essentially 1 strand a night. I got off a little this week, but I think I made up for it. So here's where I'm at. And I can't remember what it looked like the last time I showed you, but I know I did this Q and the crown. I worked on the bee a bit, and then I started the beehive. And I'm just I've got some threads hanging here because I'm just kind of working one little hexagon, I don't know what it's called, little honeycomb thing at a time. So yeah, I brought this to the 901 Stitchers meetup yesterday at Stitchers Inc. That Zan and Sarah put on once a month. And so even though I didn't work on it all week long because I had abbreviated stitching time, and plus, you know, there was the day I forsook everything else to finish the face on Trick or Treat Fairy, I definitely made up for it yesterday, and I put in 3 or 4 strands while I was at Stitchers Inc. So yay. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I worked on Mirabilias, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I worked on Marvel Heroes, which is the marvelous part of Marvelous Mirabilia May. And last time I showed this to you, I think I had finished the page, and then I started the new page last week. Oh, this is going to be awkward to show now because it's all the way at the end. Hi. So as you can see, I did the typewriter method that Stitch and Mommy talks about, where I picked just the topmost, leftmost symbol, and I just worked a strand in. So that's why you can see I came down here some and in here. So mostly I worked on Hulk and Silver Surfer's surfboard. And yeah, I've got about 1,200 stitches on this, and I was really hoping to get something like 1,000 stitches a week, because my original goal was to finish this year and gift it to my husband for Christmas. But I have not felt inspired to work on it much at all this year. So it is what it is. I did not work on it last night. I did not work on it much Friday night. So this week was a little bit slower This week was a little bit slower progress. And I don't know. We'll see what this week brings. I have one more week of a Thursday, Friday, Saturday schedule, and then we'll see where I take it from there after that. Then the fourth project I worked on almost every night was Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. And I usually started working on this at about 9:30, and I worked on it for about 45 minutes to an hour every night after everything else. More or less, like I said, I really got off my schedule this week, but I definitely made some progress. I am stitching this with Bobby from Pumpkin Creek Primitives, with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E, and Sam from Sammy Liz. And I am getting close to finishing my block for this month. I honestly don't remember where it was at the last time I showed it to you, but I know I worked a lot on the Headless Horseman. I worked on the horse. I did these letters, and I did the whole moon. I think the last time I showed it to you, I was working on the bats. So I made quite a bit of progress on this, and I'm quite proud. So this other side has essentially a mirror image of this tree. And then I have to fill in this with grass. I have to give the horse some hooves, and I got to fill in his face. And then there are a lot of these little, we can't figure out what these are. We think they might be leaves, or I don't really know what they are. I think they might be leaves, but they're really big. I have a couple more of those over here on this side. And the other thing, this right here is not a flag. Sarah brought that up in her video when she was stitching it last month. And I had thought the same thing, that it was a flag, and it's not. It's more of like a hatchet, or whatever you want to call it, a really big knife. And it was just funny that we both thought that when looking at the chart, because you know the chart's in black and white, and so you wonder, it looks like it could be a flag, but it's really not. Anyway, if you know what those little leaf shaped things are, let me know, because we can't figure it out. Okay, the last piece that I work on every week, the fifth piece, is Consider the Lilies. And this is my Sunday piece. So I will be working on this today, or this, well, it's a busy day. I hope to get to it this evening. We'll see. But my goal for this year was a page per month. And obviously, like everything else, I got sidetracked in February. But I'm making up for it, and that's where I'm at. Let me fold it up so I can show it a little bit closer. Oh my goodness, I might not be able to show it a little bit closer. This thing is so massive. Pardon me while I fold. Okay, so I worked on this page, and I think I finished it. And then I started working on this page where it says the field. And if you can see, I made a little typo in my stitching. I don't know what I was thinking. So I got it. When I start working on this today, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to frog that and restitch it. And I am just thankful for the person on Instagram who pointed it out to me, because I base all of my placement off of this strip, and I would not have been able to figure out why it was off. So yeah, I think I put in this tree, and I know I put in this, and just, you know, I put in a lot of motifs. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I just love working on this project. It is so much fun. And I love that every motif feels like a little mini finish. And it's really, good to keep going. And also now that I have a plan of I'm trying to stitch all the way across and do a page a month, it's made it a lot of fun to stitch. Okay, so my plans for this next week are to continue with the vintage black sampler, to continue with Marvel, to continue with Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, and then my mirabilia piece for this week, the last week in May, my last mirabilia I have on the go, and my first mirabilia I ever started is Royal Holiday. And I'll show you where my starting point is. And I don't think I've worked on this all year long, honestly. I got a little burnout, and I will show you why. If I can get it folded in the right direction. This is a half yard, a fat half, so it's a lot of fabric. So there's where I'm at, and that is the bottom of her dress. And I think I got burned out working on all that golden brown. Honestly, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that brown is not really my favorite color. And so it's been a lot of golds and browns, and it looks more yellow in here than it actually is. All of the colors are very brown. So I think that's what burned me out. And I think what I'm planning to do for this week is I'm going to start working on some of this red. Well, I have two options. I'm either going to start working on the red of her coat, or I'm going to work in here and kind of travel up towards her face. The other option is to do her gloves and her candle. So I have three options that I'm thinking about. We'll see where it leads me when I get to it. But yeah, those are my plans for this week. Next week is Memorial Day. I try to film every week. I don't always get there. So if I don't get to film next week, I don't really know what I'm planning to do the week after that. There will be 2 more days of May, and my original plan had been to go back and work on one of the mirabilias that was closest to a finish, which is either going to be the Trick or Treat Fairy or the Easter Fairy. So I don't really know which one I plan to work on yet. If I had to pick right now, I'd probably pick Trick or Treat Fairy, just because I just worked on it and I know how badly I want to finish it. But I also really want to finish Easter Fairy. So we'll see. Other than that, I think I want to go back to the Jackrabbit. I've been seeing lots of people stitching on their Cottage Garden samplings, Year in the Woods pieces, and they just came out with the eagle. Have you seen the eagle? It's amazing. And before that was the bear, and they're just all so amazing. And I'm forcing myself to not start one without finishing another. And I'm nowhere near finishing the Jackrabbit. So I might work on that a little bit. I do want to pull out one of my full coverage pieces. I don't know which one. I might just continue what I was doing before May started and just pull out the next oldest. I think the last one I worked on was Sea Glass, and then after that, I think, is Once Upon a Fairy Tale. I think, I'm not sure. I also really want to finish Halloween Quaker. Oh, June. That reminds me, I said I would talk about June plans if I remembered. So July, I'm starting Kringles with Sarah on July 1st, and I have a whole bunch of other Christmas patterns I really want to start. So I'm considering doing a Christmas in July thing and starting a bunch of Christmas patterns, but I'm also feeling overwhelmed with the number of patterns of projects I have going right now. And I have several that aren't like super close to a finish, but that are close enough where if I gave them like a week or so, I could probably finish them. There's like Halloween Quaker Pumpkins is farther away than probably a week, but if I could finish the main portion where all the pumpkins are, then all I'd have left is the bottom that says All Hallows Eve. Then that would make me happy. And I feel like I have another one or two that, I have a Christmas ornament that is pretty close to a finish. So I'm thinking for June, I might continue on in this thing that I've been doing for May and keep on trying to catch up on my monthly things. So on June 1st, I would start back over with Temperature Butterflies and do the May Butterfly. And then I would go back to trying to catch up with Vintage Black Samplers, because my original goal on that was 2,000 stitches a month so that I could finish in December. And so at the end of May, I should be at 10,000, and I think I'm at like 5,000. So after I finish my butterfly, I would keep on trying to catch up on the Vintage Black Sampler. And then after I caught up on that, I would go to that Victoria Sampler sale. So I'm going to keep on doing that. and then have one focus piece for the day, which would be one of those finishes. And then I also think I want to keep on with marble one day. I want to do, like I just talked about, those ones that I'm close to a finish. And I also want to throw Jackrabbit in there. And then I still want to end the night with Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, because I have a new goal of a block per month for that. And then still keep considered the lilies on Sunday. I'm kind of enjoying working on 4 projects a day. It sounds like a lot, but I'm having fun with it. So I figure, why not? And then July, we throw everything out the window and figure out a new schedule, or just incorporate all those starts. So yeah, anyway, that's all I have to show you today. I thank you for tuning in, and I hope you liked what you saw, and I hope you hit the like or subscribe button, and yeah, I hope you have a good week, and I hope that whatever you do, you lead with love. Bye.